Hey guys, I've had my Oculus Rift for about 4 months now, and I've been interested in VR for much longer. And I have some ideas for VR game developers I'd like to share in
Top 5 ways to make your VR game not suck. Locomotion and turning options.
Anyone who has shipped a VR title has no doubt discovered that players need to be able to control their game in a way that they are most comfortable with. Many devs end up patching in these optional control methods after launch, and I know it must harm their initial sales when buzz for the game is at its highest and players aren't able to play how they want. I know I've held off on buying a game when I found out there was no smooth turn or they only supported teleporting. From teleporting to front-facing setups to 360 room scale setups, from snap turn to smooth turn, we need to be able to choose. By all means, experiment with jogging in place and swinging your arms like you're cross-country skiing, but these traditional control options really need to be the standard, and they need to be there from day one. They're tested and proven. Why limit your audience, right?
Make more quality ports.
When the idea of VR was brought up as a kid and I thought about what it would be like, what do you think were the sorts of games I wanted to play? I imagine playing my favorite franchises in VR. Don't get me wrong, we need new games and new IPs built from the ground up for VR. But in these early stages, quality ports of older classic games can really deliver what people expect VR to be. A ported game, properly done, of course, can provide players with VR games that have all the depth, gameplay, quality, and replayability that VR needs to succeed. I mean, some of the most played and top-selling VR titles are ports. Imagine ports of BioShock, Portal, Borderlands, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Destiny, and even Barbie and Ken's Weekend Horseback Adventure.
No more wave shooters.
Okay, I get it. Developers want to avoid dealing with locomotion and possibly making people sick in their games, and standing basically stationary in a wave shooter is one of the easiest ways to avoid that. Wave shooters are likely budget-friendly too. The problem is there are simply too many of them, and potential new VR users can see this. Wave shooters can be somewhat fun, to a point, but personally I was bored of that concept decades ago when games like Time Crisis were in arcades. It's glorified whack-a-mole, and with the VR market saturated with games like this, it misrepresents what VR is and what it really is capable of. We don't want a platform loaded with minigames and shovelware like the Wii ended up with. VR can do better.
If it wouldn't be fun in 2D, it still won't be fun in VR.
VR really has the ability to make something that would be uninteresting in 2D much more impressive. But you can't expect that to do all the heavy lifting and making your game fun. Ask yourself if the game would be fun on its own without motion controls, 3D, or head tracking. It might not be. And at first it might be cool in VR just based on the fact it is immersive or interactive. But that will wear off fast and all the player will be left with is a sad wallet.
Don't release your game too soon.
Early access has been a great way for new indie developers to fund their games as they develop. And we've been given a lot of awesome games that otherwise wouldn't exist because of it. This is even more true on VR platforms, as many of the AAA studios are reluctant to invest in VR. However, a lot of independent devs have released their VR games far too early and with far too little content or polish. So what we end up with is hundreds of 1 to 5 hour long, badly reviewed and bad looking games that cannot afford the cost to make them into something good. Again, perception is everything, and someone looking to get into VR will see all of these unfinished demos and think that's all VR can be. VR really is one of the biggest innovations in gaming we've had in a long time, and I want it to not only succeed, but as a gamer, I just want some more great games on the platform. I want to play my favorite franchises, and I want to play them comfortably. VR itself can't be the star of the show, the game has to be. VR is just the medium. Developers need to be careful to add depth of gameplay, not settling for short experiences, and not sabotaging their games by releasing them too early. So what do you guys think about these suggestions? I'm really interested in your take on it, so let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe for more. Thanks guys. I'll see you next time.